Information and Communications Technology, or ICT for short, has contributed immensely to social and economic improvements, such as higher employment and productivity, increasing access to a higher quality of life. ICT incorporates electronic technologies and techniques used to manage information and knowledge, including information handling tools used to produce, store, process, distribute, and exchange information. It is therefore no surprise that the Tertiary Education Trust Fund considers ICT an indispensable tool not only for its internal operations, but as an active contributor to its paradigm shift. The benefits of ICT can be achieved directly through improved healthcare provision and disease prevention, or indirectly through improved social infrastructure, economic growth, or other broader determinants of a society's quality of life. The concept of knowledge economy is inextricably linked to ICT. ICT, if properly designed and implemented, can generate many positive outcomes. TETFund's Executive Secretary, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, and his technical assistant on research and development, Dr. Popola Mustafa Ayo, explained the relevance of ICT in development of content in Nigeria's public higher learning institutions.
Globally, we have no excuse whatsoever but to strengthen our intervention and funding of ICT facilities for us to migrate to digital learning, which the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, has made it clear that he expects from the month of March, when we were about going for the lockdown, when Nigeria went in lockdown for COVID, that within 9 months, majority institutions should migrate to e-learning.
For far too long, there has been a palpable and worrisome disconnect between the academia and industry, such that research in our tertiary institution has become merely a tool to climb the academic ladder. For industry, it was more convenient to shop for innovations and the results of research findings in other climes outside the shores of Africa. This unpatriotic and unproductive orientation offends one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which identifies traditional and indigenous people at the center of development. It must be acknowledged that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has taken many significant initiatives in providing a framework for the development of science and technology by mainstreaming it into our national development strategies. That is the way to go, because the level of investment by governments in the innovative research and development, as well as education, determines the global competitiveness of their economies.
Centers of excellence are going to be the drivers of excellence in research development that can produce products, services, outcomes, including innovations, because about 6 of them through our partnership with ARIFA now. ARIFA is going to be a program through FARA. That is an arm, the agricultural research arm of African Union. We have actually signed an MOU with them, and what we are looking at is to have nothing less than 120 Nigerians that are going to be trained under the South-South Triangular Agreement with Brazilian institutions, that they will come back to this country. It's going to be a master's through PhD, 5 years at a stretch. As they are coming back, they are doing sandwich PhD, they are doing their research in this country, they are doing the study over there, and whatever they have learned there, they are coming back to come and implement it. And in the final analysis, it's going to make us to create what we call innovation hubs for food security in this country. Those innovation hubs are going to be resident in the center of excellence. So if the ES has not had the vision of a center of excellence, where are we going to put the innovation hub? When we have this opportunity from African Union through FARA, how are we going to be part of those people? And let me shock you, across the African continent. The first phase of it is supposed to be for 180 people. Through the magnanimity of Executive Secretary of TETFund, we are picking up nothing less than 120 candidates out of the 180 that is available for the whole continent. That is vision. That is somebody that knows where to go. And now we're talking about COVID. You can see he's one of the core drivers of what we call Nigeria COVID-19 Research Consortium.
Mr. Joseph Odo is TETFund's Director of ICT. He gives us an overview of the unit that he heads.
Primarily, our functions are to act as an enabler using information communication technology for the workflow of the fund, enabling the business of the fund to be carried out more efficiently using ICT. If we might look at the mandate of the fund and the ES roadmap, since he came in, he has a 6-point agenda, which the first agenda of that 6 points is making use of ICT to reposition TETFund in improving its service delivery and in meeting its mandate. So looking at that, we are moving towards having ICT be the lifeline and blood of the organization, to use ICT to improve our workflow internally and also improve our collaboration with our stakeholders, especially the beneficiary institutions, and also to make sure that our service delivery to the beneficiary institutions are met more efficiently and more seamlessly.
ICT knowledge is the ability to use digital technology, communication tools, and/or networks appropriately to solve information problems in order to function in a knowledge economy. This includes the ability to use technology as a tool for research and innovation. Computers and telecommunications have revolutionized the process of scientific research. How is this information technology being applied, and in what ways has it impacted the R&D initiative of Professor Bogoro?
In making use of ICT as an enabler, we have moved gradually from starting manual processes towards making use of digital processes. We are making effective use of our email system to improve our collaboration, even within departments and with our stakeholders. We are currently digitizing and automating our workflow for the different intervention lines. Presently, we are test running the automation of submissions for our academic staff training and development intervention line. We also recently made submissions online for the NRF grants, which was just concluded. All those submissions, unlike before, that were made manually, this year, the submissions were wholly automated. People that were making submissions for the NRF grants made their submissions online. The processing will be also automated, and they will get their results through that same platform. So gradually we are trying to make sure that all intervention lines are automated in processing them and in collaboration with the beneficiary institutions. So when we look at it, ICT has and is playing gradually a major role in the service delivery of the fund. So where we are today, we've not gotten to where we want to be, but we're making gradual progress. During this lockdown, it might interest you to know that we had board meetings and management meetings using online platforms, and that enabled the work of the fund to continue without being held back by what happened with the pandemic.
The director of TETFund's R&D department speaks about raising the quality of the faculty in Nigerian public universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, especially as it pertains to application of research grants.
Normally, change is a process, and I would say change is a journey. When the ES first, in 2014, when he was appointed, he came up with this paradigm shift. But very few people, even within the TETFund, really understood where he was heading to when he said research and development. People say, what is the distinction between research and development and research and publication, for example, and that what's new. But over time, and when by the special grace of God, he's been reinstated, he was reinstated last year, he came back with even more vigor and passion for the R&D, And this time he started by sensitizing the fund itself, because if we are the drivers of this paradigm shift, we needed to understand what it is. And he helped us to really, through engagements and series of engagements and advocacy and sensitization, we are able to understand his vision of this R&D paradigm shift. That's one. Secondly, he also engaged other critical stakeholders, especially the university system and the polytechnics, as well as the colleges of education. He set up a committee that had an interface between the university administration, the research administrators, and the fund, and we together came on the same page. We were able to understand the vision, and also not only understand, we were also able to appreciate this vision. Next, he made sure that he made substantial allocation for research, for problem-solving research, the NRF in particular. Before now, the fund had only about, let's say, 3 billion naira for almost 10 years for problem-solving research. But in 2019 alone, he was able to recommend to the BOT, and it was approved by Mr. President, that we got 5 billion naira for 2019 alone to fund problem-solving, cutting-edge research across the country. And as a result of that, we were able to fund 128 research proposals. Most of those research proposals, if they are able to be completed, they are going to turn around, the research in this country. There are a lot of, especially about 40% of the research proposals we funded have to do with research in pharmaceutical areas, in medicine, in climate change, in security, and so on and so forth. So the idea is, at the end of it, the outcomes of those research will lead to further upscaling of their research findings, and also, to some extent, we'll be able to patent and even begin to commercialize and sell our research outputs to the world. Yes, and in 2020, the ES has again recommended to Mr. President through the board and the Honorable Minister, and it was approved. We have upscaled our research grants, again, allocation from 5 billion to 7.5 billion naira. Presently, we've advertised for concept notes, and we have received an unprecedented number, about 5,814 research proposals have been received, and they are now being assessed for possible funding.
The ICT department is playing its role in this key area.
We have the ICT support intervention line, one of the intervention lines of the fund. Now, for the intervention line for 2016 to 2018, we dedicated it to improving the website content of all beneficiary institutions under TETFund, and also improving the digital literacy skills of both teaching and non-teaching staff of our beneficiary institutions. Now, when we look at this, it's going to have a great impact by the time all the schools are through with the project. Already results are beginning to manifest. The websites, online content of the beneficiary institutions go a long way in helping to showcase the school. Also, the digital literacy skills training that the institutions are receiving go a long way in helping them to improve on their research methodologies, improve their ability to apply for research grants, improve their ability to make use of the World Wide Web in doing their research. So ICT, as I said earlier, is playing its role as an enabler in whatever the fund is doing. So the ES, as I said, has made ICT one of his 6-point agenda, just like research. So he's very passionate about research, and he's also passionate about making sure that ICT can be able to drive these processes. You know that we are in a knowledge economy presently, and ICT is a fundamental tool in driving this knowledge economy. So ICT is playing its role in making sure that this mandate and vision of the ES is fully realized.
The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted almost every aspect of life as we know it. Businesses were ordered to shut down as governments fought to halt the spread of the novel coronavirus. Tertiary institutions were not spared this disruption, triggering innovators to rethink the way education is delivered to learners. E-learning was transformed from an alternative to an essential approach to education. TETFund is intervening in this area as well.
Among the numerous trainings that are being carried out, some are being done by the research department and some are being done by the ICT department. We are currently training them on the ICDL certification track. The ICDL certification track is an internationally recognized ICT certification track that improves your productivity skills. At the end of the training, they are meant to take the certification exams. So given that this is an internationally recognized certification track, it exposes them to a knowledge base that they can use personally and they can use in their official work, and also ensures that their digital literacy skill is upgraded and their productivity skills is improved. So when they do this, they will be able to research better, they will be able to make better presentations, and given what we found ourselves in now, they will be able to even teach online as we move forward. One of the things we are looking at doing is creating an online platform for the beneficiary institutions, whereby they will be able to teach the same way they are teaching physically now for their students. And already this background training is going to help them to get into the online learning platform when it is eventually developed. We are doing a needs assessment now of certain infrastructure, ICT infrastructure we have in the beneficiary institutions, which will, at the end of the day, help the board of trustees and management to take a decision on how best to intervene to ensure that the institutions can have the capacity to teach their students online.
Mr. Odo narrates the journey of ICT interventions so far.
As I did mention earlier, we are working towards for this current year to see how TETFund can intervene to enable institutions have their own online learning platforms, especially our beneficiary institutions. We can see that a lot of the private tertiary institutions didn't experience that much of a disruption compared to the public tertiary institutions. So, and in doing that, it was actually part of our roadmap even before this pandemic came about. That is why we started the digital literacy skill training, and then we started remodeling their website. So what we are looking at doing because of the pandemic to see how this can be accelerated. So it presents them, whether there is a pandemic or not, different ways and improve them access to learning. We did identify different factors that we are currently doing a needs assessment to find out what is the status of these different components for the various institutions. And this will be able to help us in intervening specifically to see how these institutions can come up to speed on their online learning system. So some of these factors include data access to the students. They have to have data access to be able to access their lectures. There has to be an online learning portal for the online learning to take place. There has to be constant electricity or power. There have to be infrastructure that allows you to have internet access in the institutions. The lecturers have to have capacity for delivering online learning, teaching. So some of these factors are the things that we've identified, and we are currently doing a needs assessment for the beneficiary institutions to find out where they are according to these factors, so we can see what we have to do to accelerate the intervention for them to become effective in using online learning systems for their institutions.
One of the most significant innovations designed to institutionalize research and development in Nigeria is the establishment of the TETFund Centers of Excellence. These are organizational environments that strive for and succeed in developing high standards of conduct in a field of research, innovation, or learning. ICT is also significantly featured in this process.
Currently, as part of what TETFund is doing, there is a project called the digitization of thesis for the beneficiary institutions. The project is currently ongoing. We are working towards it. This is meant to enable all beneficiary institutions have their thesis digitized and in a common pool. So this presents a promise that, looking into the future, as the centers of excellence are becoming more and more engaged, we will have a form of national portal that people can pull in resources and also be able to make use of to whatever they are doing, whether they are doing research, whether they are writing theses, whether they are doing any school projects. So the opportunities presented by this are infinite, and a lot of things are going to come out of it. So first and foremost, we are doing this digitization of theses now. So as this takes shape, a lot of things are going to also come out of it, and ICT is also going to be there playing a very vital role.
With an integrated approach that puts all hands on deck within TETFund, which is applying the triple helix method of accelerated, coordinated relationships between government, academia, and industry, there is much to be excited about for the future.
I'm very excited because the possibilities are endless, given that more and more information technology is playing a role in the whole world. We cannot be left out, and information technology has been a kind of tool that is being used to bridge gaps worldwide, gaps in learning, gaps in access to science, gaps in a lot of things. So with the role that TETFund is playing, the role the ES is playing in pushing research into national focus, this will enable research into so many things, and this is inclusive of even ICT, how ICT can also play more and more vital role in our learning environments, and then the national economy in general.
Any development challenge can be overcome. if the response is carefully planned based on sound decisions from good information acquired through diligent research. Adoption of information and communication technologies in teaching, learning, and research has come a long way, and so is the use of various technological tools. The researchers need to change with the changing times and need to understand today's fast-changing knowledge base and its peculiarities. TETFund is here to help them do exactly that, and that is the paradigm shift.